Hello guys, welcome to my channel. Today we have this BMW 2008 528xi here that is misfiring. The car vibrates a lot when you put it on, and anytime you're driving and you slow down, it shuts, the engine just goes off. We're trying to see what the problem is. We tried with the diagnostic tool, and the codes we were having on the diagnostic tool were multiple misfires, and it was saying that we have a lean airflow. So we're going to start with simple diagnostics to see. We tried changing the spark plugs, but the problem was still there. So now we're trying to check the solenoids. We're going to check the venous solenoid valves and try and clean them out and try and see what happens afterwards, if that might solve it. If not, we proceed to more complex task and see what we can do. So right now I'm gonna take the solenoids out. So these are the two solenoids that we're going to take out, and then we're losing this bolt to make it easy, to make it possible to remove the venous solenoid from the engine. There comes the second one. Wiggle it out, and we got it. That is it. Hello guys, so after getting my venous solenoids taken out and cleaned, I'm still experiencing the vibration in the track once you start it. So I'm going to move on. I realized that there is a leak. There's oil leaking from my engine. Right, you can see it. I tried to clean it, but the oil keeps on leaking out from that angle, and it's all over. When you look down there, there is some oil sitting down there, and I'm not sure where the leak is coming from, but I'm going to take the head gasket out, the valve out, and change the gasket to see if it might help stop the leak. So stay with me whilst we take it apart. To be on the safer side, I'm going to drain all the oil from the engine. So I got the car on jack stands. Make sure you're not just using the hydraulic jack as your stand, because you can guarantee its safety. And make sure the handbrake has been applied before you go underneath, and you have the back tires stopped with a stopper before you go underneath it. And I'm doing this just as a precaution because I'm going to open up the engine. I don't want the oil to mess me up once I open it up or spill everywhere. After I'm done with it, I'm going to put it back in, or better still, change my oil. Stay with me. Now I'm under the car, and I've got my drain pan here to take out all the oil. It's like a gallon. I think it's easier if I want to reuse it this way. And that is a drain plug, which I need the number 17 socket to take out. The number 17 socket will do it for you. So just open it up, adjust the drain pan underneath it, and let it collect all the oil. So I've got mine ready and ready to take it apart. And you need to have some eye protection glasses, because anything can fall in your eye, or the oil can even spill. So I got it out, and looks like my oil is dirty. Will be better if I just change it once I'm done. I took the electrical connections and the wiring for the spark plugs all out, and the other one on the other side also. Took them out, knocked them out, and now I'm trying to take that out. I have a screw all the way down here, which I'm using the E8. I'm using the E8 socket, and take note, use the right socket, the one with the stars in there, not the square ones. If not, you're gonna mess up the screw. So get the right socket and use that. So I'm going to take this out, take this screw out, take these two screws out. There's one here and one on the other side out. Be careful, because this is going to jump out, so have your hand supporting it so that it wouldn't hit you. Once I take that out, I can then take all these bolts out, and then I can get the valve cover off, put a new one in, and make sure my seal is good. So I finally took that out, and I can see some oil in there. So I'm thinking that is where the leak was coming from, because this is all full with oil. It's all filled with oil in there. So I'm thinking the leak was coming from in here. But anyway, I'm going to go ahead and change the whole gasket and get done with that. And so I'm done. I removed all these bolts. We have 4 here. We have 6 up here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We have 3 back there. And then we have 6 down here. It's a bit hard to see. Let me zoom in and see. We have 6 out here, which is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. The 6th one is down there. 1, 2, 3, 4. You can see the hole there. 5 and 6. All the way down there. So I took these 6 out, and 3 of them, which is 2 of them down here, which is 1 and 2. You would have to take it out completely and keep it. The rest wouldn't come out completely, it would just stay in there loose. And there is one more here, which I have taken out, which is this very one. It's all the way down in here. So losing that, that's a number 10. Losing that, and with the help of a magnet, just pick it out, and then you're ready to lift off the valve from the engine. And if you have a replace, just put a new one in there. Make sure the gasket is well seated. So guys, one thing I forgot is you need to also remove this bolt in there. I think it's a number 10 and you need a deep socket to do that. This, and then there is one more over here. If not, you cannot take the lead off. So take this out and take that also out before you can lift up the lid, the valve, and put a new one in. So I finally got the engine cover, the valve cover off, and if you check in here, you can see oil leak all over in there. So I'm thinking the seal might have been broken somewhere, so it's better I put a new one in. And see how the engine is looking right now. I'm not an expert, so I can't tell if this looks clean enough, but the owner of this vehicle has been changing the oil regularly as needed. Alright, so we're going to work on the new one, get a gasket on, and sit it down after we clean the edges of this engine block. So that is the old valve cover, and this is the new one that came in, which I'm going to switch with that. Now with the gasket, I've read at some places that you can hold it with silicone. So you can put just a little bit of silicone in here, there, just a little bit, just to hold the gasket in place before you, and once you put it there, wait for 30 minutes just to get it to harden a little bit to hold the gasket in, and then you can put it on. So we're going to do that and then put it back on. So I'm applying just a little bit of the silicone in the groove along the edges to hold my gasket in place. Once I put it back, put the valve cover back. But with the silicone, you would have to wait for a couple of minutes, 30 minutes to 1 hour, just to get it to set a little bit to hold it down. And don't put too much, just a little bit. Just like I'm doing here. Just a little bit in the groove. And I have the silicone all around. I'm gonna insert the gasket into the grooves along the edges and wait for it to set. And then we put it back on. Now I got the gasket on, well seated, and you can see the silicone. You don't need to put too much to mess up the gasket. So here you can see it. I'm gonna wait a couple of minutes, let's say 30 minutes to 45 minutes, and then we're gonna put it back up and reverse whatever we did, put everything back on, and we check our vehicle and see if we're still getting the leaks. Then if there's no leak, we can then figure out where we're getting the lean air coming from. I've got the new one on right now, the new valve cover. Try and make sure whilst installing it, you put your hand underneath it to make sure that the gasket is still in position, especially back there. You can put your hands down there and feel the gasket whilst you're lowering it down. Then after that, tighten everything up. And then put the harness and cables all back. So I've got the valve cover back on. And I have everything in place. I'm about to put this in. Make sure you don't touch it when you take it out, so that you don't have to calibrate it or anything. You just stick it in there and that will be it. So make sure you don't touch it, you don't move it when you once you take it out. Put it back on there, put all the screws in, and then we're going to put the wires back on it. There's one more thing I forgot, which is I think it's a vapor tube for the vapor that comes from the engine, goes out. I think it's all the way at the back. Please make sure you connect that back. Okay, to take it out, you can use a flat screwdriver. Pick this section up and do the same at the bottom for this bottom section whilst you're pulling it back, and that will take it out. And to put it back in, just snap it into place and you're good to go till it clicks. Once you hear the click, you know it's well connected. Right now I've got all the spark plugs back into their respective positions. I've got that in with the 3 screws, holding it, one here, one there, and one underneath it. And I have all the screws for the valve cover all set. Now I'm going to connect my cables, put them back in, put the oil back in there, the engine oil back in there, and then we check it and see. So I have the electrical stuff back in place because I took a picture of it, which made it easy for me to put it back exactly the way I found it. I'm now going to connect all the terminals I took out. And before that, I'm going to put the coils back in there. And you don't have to have any order for it because they're all the same. You can interchange them. So I have my coils going back in there. I'm going to do the same for all of them and then connect the power to them. So finally, I got everything back in place. All the cables connected. Make sure you don't leave anything out. It will be really dangerous to do that. So everything is connected. I'm going to put the oil, put a new oil in there.